Seated here, it's a man called Adriano Mazzotti. And more said, I'll ask them to stand up, because these are the two and part of their partners who have given us money on the day we were launching the EFF.
I now want to turn to the relationship between General Khan, Mr. Syad, and Mr. Malema. And there are various themes that run through the chats in this regard. The first one that I want to start with begins, and it's probably, it begins with xenophobic protests in 2021, which is a reminder that we haven't moved on so far in the last 5 years. If we go to and also a reminder of Mr. Malema's principled stand in relation to xenophobia. If we go to 5963, we see at the 10th of June 2021, Mr. Syad forwards to General Khan 6 messages, which he says come from Mr. Malema, and we'll take the messages and then explain why I say they come from Mr. Malema. The first one was a photograph of a person that's been deleted and that is no longer legible. The second was a picture of an Operation Dudula poster, in which Operation Dudula was threatening to remove all illegal foreign nationals by force and was calling for a meeting on June 16, 2021, and had the threat underneath: if you are operating illegally, you better pack and leave before 16 June.
Sorry, Mr. Shaskolson, I don't know whether you answered the question as to why these are not being flighted when you were engaging all the...
They are being flighted. These are being flighted.
All right, inconsistent.
Oh, sorry.
I was checking whether there was a principle.
No. There's no. Maybe I'm going too quickly here, and I should slow down, and everything should be flighted.
So.
Sorry. Sorry.
You can tell who the source was when I spoke.
Solidarity on the Commission is breaking down, Chair.
Please continue, Mr. Shaskolson. Thank you.
Well, maybe if we can start at the top. The top, if we go one up, is the message that straddles 5963 and 5964, which was forwarded from Mr. Syed at message time 101:31 on the 10th of June 2021. What this is a deleted photograph of someone. And underneath it, at the same time, there is a picture of an Operation Dudula banner or poster, which says we'll be removing all illegal foreign nationals by force, calls for a meeting in Dipkloof Hall on the 16th of June, and has the threat: if you are operating illegally, you better pack and leave before 16 June. If we go over to the next page, still at the same time, and one sees that the first 4 messages are all have the same time, because they are in fact forwarded messages to General Khan from Mr. Syed. He forwards: must I tell the General? Must be arrested tonight? Yes. So those are 5 messages that are forwarded messages with the same timestamp, and then Mr. Syed explains from Juju. That's a message from Mr. Syed to General Khan. And then what comes afterwards is another forwarded message which says, okay, done. So essentially what Mr. Syed is communicating is that he has been asked by Mr. Malema to forward the first 5 messages to General Khan, or he's been asked by Mr. Malema to forward those messages to General Khan. He has, in the second last message of with the timestamp 101:33, he explains to General Khan that it's from Mr. Malema, and then he forwards his response to Mr. Malema, which is, okay, done, I have forwarded these to the General. Now that takes place on the 10th of June. The very next day, if we go down to 5971, General Khan sends to Mr. Syad draft questions for the Inspector General of Intelligence. And that is at 11th of June at message time 1:51:47. And again, we have a problem that we frequently had with these message times, that they're 2 hours out because they are UTC, not South African Standard Time. So the questions that General Khan has drafted are: convicted drug dealer and member in the agent program, and the name has been redacted, claims to be close friends with you. Is this true? 2, do you take instructions from this person, as he alleges he has a close relationship with you? 3, what gratification does the Inspector General of Intelligence enjoy from this person? 4, how long has the Inspector General been a captured public service servant of, and then that person? So these are draft questions that General Khan has prepared, which he is going to essentially ask Mr. Malema to arrange to be put to the Inspector General in Parliament through the EFF. If we go down to page 5975, and sorry, I just want to emphasize at that stage, General Khan is not dealing directly with Mr. Malema. He is sending messages to Mr. Syad. But the channel is to Mr. Malema, whether Mr. Malema is aware of General Khan's motives or not. We see that because at 5975, Mr. Syad sends back to General Khan questions that have now been formulated to the Minister of Police and to the Inspector General of Intelligence. And these questions, and in fact the name is not going to be redacted in these questions, I'm told the name's been mentioned publicly already. These questions that Mr. Syad sends back read as follows. First, questions to Minister of Police, written reply. 1, do you have any relationship with convicted drag lord? There's a misspelling of drug lord. Drag lord Timi Marimutu? If so, what's its nature, and does it include discussing crime intelligence matters? 2, have you been in contact with Timi Marimutu and discussed crime intelligence matters related to the Inspector General of Intelligence and the removal of General Jacobs as head of crime intelligence? 3, have you had any discussions with convicted drug lord Timi Marimutu regarding the supposed deal made by former President Jacob Zuma and Major General Feroz Khan that he will use state intelligence resources to ensure the election of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as president of the ANC? If so, what security clearance did Timi Marimutu attain to discuss crime intelligence matters with you as a minister? Those were the proposed questions to the Minister of Police, and the proposed questions to the Inspector General follow. 1, do you have any relationship with convicted drug lord Timi Marimutu? If so, what is its nature, and does it include discussing matters relating to crime intelligence? 2, have you had any discussions with Timi Marimutu regarding the removal of General Peter Jacobs as head of crime intelligence? If so, what security clearance gives Tumi Marimutu access to you as the Inspector General of Intelligence, particularly as it relates to discussions of crime intelligence matters? Mr. Syad explains below, Juju sent me now. General Khan's response is, excellent, bro. Let's go to war. When are they sending it to him? And what one sees in the exchanges that follow is what one often sees in WhatsApp exchanges, where people respond to a message while the writer of that message is writing another message, and so you get responses that don't respond to the immediately preceding message. You have to work out what they respond to. So Mr. Syed says, are you happy with the questions? In other words, are you satisfied with these questions that Mr. Malema has sent me to be put to the Minister of Police and the Inspector General of Intelligence? But then, in response to General Khan's question, when are they sending it to him, Mr. Syed says, let me ask. Now answering whether he's happy with the questions, General Khan says, yes, bro. And then he says, this should get him to lie, and in return, we can ask for his removal because he lied. So what General Khan is disclosing here is that the purpose of these questions is not to establish whether the Inspector General has a relationship of any nature with Tumi Marimutu. Rather, it's to trap the Inspector General into lying in an answer to Parliament, and then to use the fact that he will have lied to orchestrate his removal. Mr. Syed is still responding to the previous inquiry of General Khan, which is when are they sending the questions? And he says at 65977 at 12 June 2021, 8:49, but I think it's been sent already. He then responds to General Khan's message saying, this will get him to lie and then we can get him removed. And he says, absolutely, he's going to deny it and then he's effed. Bye-bye P, ... And General Khan agrees with the abusive description of the Inspector General, says big P. Mr. Syed then says, when is it going to be fired off to them? And what we see later is that this is in fact a message that he has sent to Mr. Malema, which he's now forwarding to General Khan. The response is tomorrow. General Khan says they must fix up the spelling of drug in paragraph 1. In other words, Mr. Marimutu is a drug lord, not a drag lord. And he then, responding to when it's going to be fired off, and tomorrow, he says, thanks, bro, much appreciated. And Mr. Syed then sends a screenshot of his exchanges with Mr. Malema, which show that the formulation of the question to the Inspector General of Intelligence came from Mr. Malema. That's the top of the screenshot. Paragraph 2, have you had any discussions with Tumi Marimutu regarding the removal of General Peter Jacobs as head of crime intelligence? If so, what security clearance gives Tumi Marimutu access to you as the Inspector General of Intelligence, particularly as it relates to discussions of crime intelligence matters? In fact, Mr. Syed, even before General Khan had picked up the drug lord problem, has already responded to Mr. Malema and said drug lord, not drag. And then Mr. Malema says the whole DR, I'm not sure what that relates to, but we then see a 2249 on the screenshot. And if we go back up, 2249 is, what we see at 2249 is when is it going to be fired off, and the answer comes tomorrow at 2258. If we go back up to 5977 and we add the 2 hours to the UTC times, we see that when is it going to be fired off to them, it's recorded as 8:58 p.m. You add the 2 hours, it's 10:58, and tomorrow 10:58 as well. So he has forwarded that exchange with Mr. Malema immediately that it happens, and has then, for good measure, added the screenshot. The next episode in this process takes place on the 13th of June. And it takes place, it's on page 5980. And there, maybe scroll down a bit before and there, Mr. Syad forwards to General Khan a message about the progress of the questions. He says, Parliament will probably only process them on Monday, but they process them and then send to respective ministers and institutions. A week later, at 6002, we're now on the 20th of June, Mr. Syad forwards to General Khan a screenshot from Mr. Malema. And what the screenshot shows is that Mr. Syad asks Mr. Malema, brother, when are you back? Mr. Malema says, tomorrow. Mr. Syad says, okay, let's meet tomorrow evening, please, with our general. Mr. Malema says, sharp, and there is an XAP response from Mr. Syad. General Khan thanks Mr. Malema for setting up the meeting. So thanks Mr. Syad for setting up the meeting with Mr. Malema. And Mr. Syad says, you are my brew, no need to thank me. That is the 20th of June. Now, I want to clarify what our issue with that, there's actually a further step before I clarify my concerns about this process. If we go down to 6005, we see at 21 June 2021, which is the day after that screenshot was sent to General Khan, the day on which the meeting was going to happen, Mr. Syad sends to General Khan a letter to the Minister of Police. That letter is in the exhibit bundle at page 298. And it is on the EFF letterhead. It is addressed to Mr. Beki Cele, Minister of Police, and it asks the questions about the minister's relationship with Mr. Tumi Marumutu, who's described as drug lord Tumi Marumutu, and crime intelligence matters. It asks those questions in the same terms verbatim as were forwarded to General Khan by Mr. Syad on the 11th of June. It's the extract bundle, I think it's called. Is it? Annexes bundle.
Got it. Exhibits is fine. There are two sets of exhibit bundles. That's why we were confused, by the way.
And if we look at that question that was posed to the Minister of Police, it is, apart from cleaning up the spelling errors, so drag lord becomes drug lord and intelligence is spelt correctly, it is verbatim the same as the question that was forwarded to General Khan by Mr. Syad on the 11th of June.
Does the letter precede or come after the chats? I'm just looking at the dates.
So the letter in draft form that was forwarded from Mr. Syed to General Khan was forwarded on the 11th of June. The letter itself that was sent to Minister Cele is dated 17 June, and it is provided to General Khan by Mr. Syed on 21 June, which is the date on which, according to the screenshot, General Khan, Mr. Syed, and Mr. Malema were going to meet. I want to clarify an issue here. The issue that we as evidence leaders raise with this process is not that General Khan raised questions about the relationship between the Inspector General and an alleged drug dealer. What the issue is that the chats suggest that the primary purpose of General Khan in raising the issues in the way that he did was to trick the then Inspector General of Intelligence, Dr. Dintwe, into lying, so that if he did lie, he could be removed from his position, a position in which he was exercising oversight over General Khan. And if General Khan had been genuinely concerned about the relationship between Dr. Dintwe and Mr. Marimutu, we would have expected him to take the issue up through the appropriate channels. Instead, what he did was he used his relationship with an alleged tobacco smuggler to plant questions to the Inspector General through the EFF in the hope of trapping the Inspector General in a lie to Parliament. That was what his purpose was. There is a secondary concern, and the secondary concern is that this process suggests that something of a quid pro quo was taking place, if we look at the chronology. We've already seen that immediately preceding the exchanges relating to the Inspector General, a day before, literally a day before General Khan formulated his draft question, a message had been communicated by Mr. Syed to General Khan, ostensibly on behalf of Mr. Malema and apparently asking for the arrest of persons making threats to foreign nationals on behalf of Operation Dudula. That took place on the 10th of June, that message, that series of messages. General Khan on the 11th sends his message suggesting a question to the Inspector General. And while I commend Mr. Malema for his stance against xenophobic lawlessness, the chats suggest that General Khan saw this as an opportunity to use Mr. Malema's position within the EFF to attempt to trick the Inspector General into a lie that may provide a basis for having him removed. So Mr. Malema sends essentially a complaint about a threat of lawless action by Operation Dudula on the 10th and calls for action to be taken. The next day, General Khan writes back with a question for the Inspector General. It has the appearance of a quid pro quo. There is a...
Sorry, what are we to make of the use of a conduit or a third party in these exchanges?
The use of the conduit is problematic in its own And if we go further, because there are further concerns about quid pro quo, where the use of the conduit becomes particularly problematic. But it seems to me that that if General Khan is genuinely wanting questions raised in Parliament, he has appropriate means of doing that without using conduits. And certainly if he wants Mr. Malema to post questions, he should be asking Mr. Malema directly. It may be that at this stage he didn't have a line of direct communication to Mr. Malema. That looks to be the case because, as we'll see later, a few months after this, Mr. Syad gives him contact details for Mr. Malema. But Mr. Syad's role in all of this is very problematic. Mr. Syad belongs to a company which, on its own admission, has been engaged in fraudulent and corrupt activity historically, which is alleged to, and tax evasion, and which is alleged to be continuing to do that at the time that this is happening. And he's not an appropriate person for General Khan to be engaging with in relation to matters of this nature, whatever their personal relationship. But I do want to turn to the other issues in relation to quid pro quo, because we've looked at one part of the chronology.
Just Galton, before you do that, it seems to me that a further issue of concern may be, at least on the face of it, that General Khan may well have obtained the information behind these questions by virtue of his position. And then he's using information that he would have, if there's any truth to what is posed, and which the Inspector General is expected to lie about, there's that possibility that he would have obtained this information by virtue of his position as an intelligence police officer, and then he's using that information inappropriately.
Inspector Baloy, we've been trying to Inspector Baloy, Commissioner Baloy, we've been trying to locate former Inspector General Dintwe to get a statement to explain this. We haven't yet been able to get a statement from him, but what we have seen is a press report purporting to quote him on this issue. And what he says is that he and General Khan together had a meeting with Mr. Marimutu, in which event what this process would have been about is not about General Khan using his crime intelligence surveillance capacities to find something out about the Inspector General, but actually having had a meeting with the Inspector General and Mr. Marimutu, and hoping that because he wasn't present at the joint standing committee on intelligence when pushed in relation to an issue regarding Mr. Marimutu, the Inspector General would lie. So I'm not sure that your concern is present, but again, we have to get the full story from the former Inspector General, and in due course we hope to do so.
Mr. Skelton, it would still be improper. Leave aside the EFF and leave aside what Mr. Syad does for a living. If General Khan was in this meeting with the Inspector General and Mr. Marimutu, those are crime intelligence issues that are sensitive. They are not to be shared with just anybody, whether they are your friends or acquaintances. Leave aside what they do for a living. Leave aside the political party, just that aspect.
No, I take that absolutely, Commissioner Kumalo.
But Inspector Kumalo.
But there is another serious concern about quid pro quo if we look back at the chronology. We've looked at a process that runs from 10 June, when the Operation Dudula messages are sent, through to 21 June, when the letter to the to the Minister of Police is sent. In the middle of that process, on the 15th of June, if we go to page 5990, we come to the Santon case number that I have mentioned previously. And there we see that it's now 4 days after General Khan has sent his draft question to the Inspector General, to Mr. Malema through Mr. Syad. Mr. Syad forwards to General Khan a request from Mr. Malema. And that is at the message on page 5990 at message time 1207 on the 15th of June, where Mr. Syed forwards the message, need to know the complaint in case number Santon case 79/07/2019, and says Juju brew. And General Khan says, okay, thanks. Now, if we go to the next page, General Khan responds very promptly. What he's done is he's got onto the SAP's computerized database of cases, and he sends what looks like a photograph or a screenshot from that database, which identifies who the complainant is in that case. And we see that at the top of 5991. Now, and that screen that we see, which he sends to Mr. Syed, identifies the complainant as Mr. Ruplal. And Mr. Syed thanks him for it, and then for good measure, General Khan sends through not only Mr. Ruplal's name, which appears from the screen, but also his address, which wasn't even asked for. Now, Mr. Ruplal was the curator of the VBS Bank. And that case, Santon case 76/07/2019, was a case that he had instituted in relation to frauds concerning the VBS Bank. Now, Mr. Malema has been implicated in the VBS Bank scandal. He is implicated in the plea explanation affidavit of the former VBS chair, Mr. Matodzi, who pleaded guilty and was sentenced to an effective 15 years of imprisonment for his role in the scandal. He stated in his plea explanation affidavit that in an attempt to buy protection, political protection from the EFF for VBS, when inquiries were starting to be made in relation to VBS, in an attempt to buy political protection from the EFF, he had paid bribes of millions of rands to Mr. Malema and to Mr. Floyd Shivambu in the guise of making donations to the EFF. The relevant extract from the affidavit of Mr. Matodzi is at the exhibit bundle, page 300 to 301. Don't propose to read it because that's been the subject of separate investigations. But what it shows is that Mr. Malema's concern about this case number was because it related to an issue, whether rightly or wrongly someone was implicating him. And getting the name of the complainant in that case was not something to which Mr. Malema was entitled, and was not something which General Khan was entitled to provide, still less the address of the complainant. And happening when it did, in the midst of this exchange in relation to questions to the Inspector General, which General Khan wanted Mr. Malema to organize, it has very much the appearance of a favor in return for a favor, an illegal favor in return for a favor. there is a second strand of the exchanges between Mr. Syad and General Khan, which involves Mr. Malema. And it starts on the 30th of June at page 6227. And there, General Khan forwards to Mr. Syad a disciplinary notice that has been addressed to him by the then Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence. And the complaint essentially says that when General Khan was appointed in terms of the delegation that he shared with his friends to show off, he actually exceeded his authority and performed acts that he was not entitled to do, purportedly under that delegation. He sends this, and the notice calls for representations from General Khan in relation to the possibility of disciplinary proceedings. It finishes, your response to this letter must reach my office by close of business today, Friday the 30th of July. He sends it to Mr. Syad. Mr. Syad's response is at 6228, and he says, "Did you manage to sort it, Brew? Can I send to Juju?" And General Khan says, "Please hold on." In other words, I don't need Mr. Malema, I don't want Mr. Malema to get involved at this stage. That's where matters sit on the 30th of June. The next stage of this process is...
Sorry, you said 30th June, it looks like July?
Sorry, 30th of July, 30th of July. The next stage of this process is on the 2nd of August at straddling pages 6241 and 6242. And there General Khan sends to Mr. Syad a message which reproduces an article in Afrikaans which shows that the story of disciplinary proceedings or disciplinary action, potential disciplinary action against him has now been leaked. It's being reported in the Afrikaans press. That is on 2 August. The next day, on 3 August, at the foot of 6243, going on to 6244, General Khan sends to Mr. Syad a photograph, and it's a photograph of Mr. Malema and Mr. Syad around a dinner table with 2 other people. So if we can go back to the process. 30th of July, there's the disciplinary letter. Mr. Syad says, should I get Mr. Malema involved? General Khan says no. 2 August, 2 days later, the story has leaked to the press. And the next day, General Khan sends a photograph of Mr. Malema and Mr. Syad to Mr. Syad. On the 26th of August, at 6356, Mr. Syad sends General Khan a contact card for Mr. Malema. So General Khan, one would imagine, or one can infer, up to this point was not able to contact Mr. Malema directly, but now General Khan has received Mr. Malema's contact details from Mr. Syad. On the 5th of December, Mr. Syad sends General Khan a voice note. That voice note appears at page 6385. And if we can play it.
Salams, bro. Juju called me now. He says that your things are coming along very, very nicely. It's moving along very rapidly. But just give it some time, but it's going to happen for sure.
So, Mr. Syad says to General Khan, Juju called, your things are coming along, it's moving along very nicely, it's going to happen for sure. General Khan thanks him, says much appreciated, and then on the 22nd of September, at 6417, Mr. Syad sends another message from Mr. Malema to General Khan, and this clearly relates to the disciplinary issue, and it's at the foot of 6417, and he says, Brew, I forgot to tell you the Jew called me, said that you will not ever resign, no matter what, this is a fight, and we will emerge victorious. So if we reflect on that timeline, what we see is that General Khan is in disciplinary trouble at crime intelligence. He tells Mr. Syad says, should I get Mr. Malema involved? General Khan says initially no. A few days later, the story of his disciplinary difficulties is leaked to the press, and sometime thereafter, Mr. Malema gets involved, and by 22 September, Mr. Malema is saying, you will not ever resign, no matter what, this is a fight, and we will emerge victorious. Now, if we go back to the chats again and look at this timeline, which runs from 30 July to 22 September, we see another suggestion of a quid pro quo with Mr. Malema in relation to this episode. And if we just go back to that timeline, it starts 30 July. General Khan asks Mr. Syad to hold off informing Mr. Malema on the 30th of July. That seems to have changed after the disciplinary problems leaked to the media on the 2nd of August, and then he WhatsApps the picture of Mr. Malema and Mr. Syad to Mr. Syad. If we go to page 6240, and look at the sequence. 6240 is the story leaking on the 2nd of August. 6244 is General Khan forwarding the picture of Mr. Malema and Mr. Syad to Mr. Syad on the 3rd of August. And if we go down to 6245, on the same day that General Khan forwards the picture of Mr. Malema and Mr. Syad to Mr. Syad, Mr. Syad returns a message which relates to a tender for fleet management services submitted by a company called Bertobrite, B-E-R-T-O-B-R-I-T-E, to the State Information Technology Agency, SITA. And underneath that, he says, Juju sent me. General Khan says what he needs here, what does he need? And Mr. Syad says, I think he wants us to do it. In other words, we infer, I think he wants us to do this tender for him. So we have,
But where is the for him part, Mr. Chaskalson? Yeah, I mean, I think he wants us to do it, I get that part.
or
but where
for
is the
Berta Bright, because it's Berta Bright's tender. It's not a tender that's put in by a company of Mr. Syed or Mr. Or General Khan. It's for Berta Bright. And of course, the question is, what is the relationship between Berta Bright and Mr. Malema?
That part I get. The part I don't get is for you to say he wants us to do it for him. That's
Well,
the part
for
that I
Berta
don't
Bright.
get.
The issue in relation to Berta Bright is that by this stage, August 2021, Berta Bright has already appeared in the press in relation to an allegedly corrupt tender that it procured in Tshwane on the basis of paying amounts to the EFF. I'll find my reference. I don't have it to hand here, but it is in the exhibit bundle. Let me just quickly look. Yeah, it's page 303 of the exhibits bundle, where there is an article entitled "Businessman Who Captured Tshwane Fleet Department Had a Man on the Inside." It's dated 26 February 2020. It relates to a Berta Bright it relates to a tender in Tshwane by Mr. Khanyago, who is linked to Berta Bright, and who is alleged to have paid 15 million to 3 companies linked to EFF leader Mr. Malema.
The article seems to mention a different company of Mr. Khanyago, Mr. Chaskalson. Reading very quickly, sorry, I might be missing it.
No, you are right. It refers to Balimi Barui Trading, BBT. I will get the connection to Mr. Khanyago and Berta Bright. We don't have it in this bundle. But if we go back to the sequence, we see again a situation where General Khan appears to be looking for the support of Mr. Malema in his disciplinary matters through Mr. Syed. And through Mr. Syed, Mr. Malema is communicating a wish that General Khan and Mr. Syed will assist with the Berta Bright tender. Now, in advance of this evidence, notices were issued to, among others, Mr. Syed, General Fani, and Mr. Malema, indicating that they may be implicated in relation to some of the evidence concerning General Khan. Mr. Malema did respond to that notice, unlike Mr. Syed and General Fani.